certain like grieving period, and then they would come together and get married.
Did you ever ask him or confront him with the fact that he was searching for wedding bands?
Yes, sir.
And what did he say to that?
He agreed that he was searching those because they had made arrangements to get married in the future.
Let's go through. Is your computer screen on there?
Yes, sir. Is this touch?
Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is what I want to do is I go through APOC 1. This is the redacted. You see where it's got numbers, and this is not everything off the phone, just some things for trial, but search items, I'm talking about, I guess, basically 17 here. Do you see on this exhibit, there's a number column on the left side here?
Yes, sir.
You see the value here, where it talks about what was searched for?
Yes, sir.
And then here has a time stamp. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
As we go through these, is it correct that this is July 9th, 2018, and then it goes to the last two are June 28th of 2018. Do you see those dates?
Yes, sir.
So this would be things that he searched on his phone?
Yes, sir.
All right, first one talks about, what is that?
Just busted.
And Safari, what is that on your phone?
That's a search engine.
So the first couple of ones here, all the way through 9 are just, I guess that was news things related to the case, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, there was a search done on the 10th one here on July 9th, 2018. What was searched for there?
If the police have your cell number, can they get all your text messages?
I guess that would be several searches. And then,
Yes, sir.
And then 16 and 17, what were those searches for?
Plain gold wedding band, both days or both times.
Now, number 16 and number 17, for the record, can you just tell us the date and the time that those were done?
It's June 28th, 2018, 7:07 p.m.
June 28, 2018. And Gary's remains were found on July 5th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
I'd have to do the math about the week before, I guess, is when this search for wedding rings was done?
Yeah, 7 days maybe.
All right. One thing all right, here we go. I'm on page 10 of this report.
Yes, sir.
Number 29 for search items. Here is the body, what was looked for. What is the value there? What does it say there?
If the police have your cell phone number, can they get all your text messages?
And there are several searches for that, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then 36, it's a link on the internet that he was doing. What is the box here? What does that say?
How police can get your deleted texts, like they got Kyle Navins.
And then 38, the web history there. What is this one?
If the police have your cell phone number, can they get all your text messages?
And these are things that came up during his searches that he was doing?
Yes, sir.
you were talking to Rusty, did you, as the investigation developed, did y'all ever have to come back to him and get him to clarify more information?
Yes, sir.
What ways did you do to try to get him, to convince him to give y'all more information?
We just stated the seriousness of the situation. We leaned into the tactic of good cop, bad cop. So,
did you let him know the serious nature of the case?
yes, sir, the serious nature of the case, the situation and how things were evolving.
Did you let him know it was a murder case?
Yes, sir.
Possibly, in y'all's mind, a death penalty case?
Yes, sir.
Did you explain his position in the case and how y'all felt the evidence, how it related to him?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to talk to him about that on July 24, 2018? After you talked to him on the 10th, I think the 10th was like a couple interviews, is that right? Or y'all broke it up, it was long?
We broke it up, and it was one long interview.
On the 24th, is that when he told you about the statement he said Melody told him about Gary being in the burn pile?
Yes, sir.
Now tell the jury, when y'all arrived to talk to him, did he just walk out to you that morning and say, here, let me give you this information? Or how did it actually develop?
No, he did not give us that information. The beginning part of the interview, Detective Hayes and I, once again, I'm playing the tactical bad cop. I start presenting with evidence with some intensity, and at that time, his lawyer paused the interview and they stepped outside of the room and had a conversation.
Intensity, let's tell the jury, don't use the words here.
Yes, sir.
Did you drop the F-bomb a lot?
Occasionally.
MF?
Occasionally.
You were cussing?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever get in his face or anything like that?
I got close to him.
Did you ever point at him or anything like that?
Yes, I did.
But did you ever touch him?
No, sir. Absolutely not.
Did you ever threaten him with any harm or anything like that?
No, sir.
Did y'all ever have to be separated physically or anything like that? You have to go outside and everybody calm down and then you come back together or anything along those lines?
No, sir, but there are times that I left the room for effect.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as being the aggressive one and being intense, you want to create opportunity for him to talk to Detective Hayes. So you can't always be intense in his face the whole time. You want to create an environment where he will talk to Detective Hayes.
Have you been through the interviews and interrogation classes in law enforcement?
Several, sir.
Have you been involved in like the read technique and things like that?
I've been to some classes where they teach tactics like that.
Through your training experience, have you learned how to interact with people and do things like you talk about to see if you can get them to come across and give you more information?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever do the technique where you take a nice approach and get up, sit beside them, put your arm around them, and tell them you're a friend and they can get it off their chest, things
Yes,
like
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
Do you do, I guess, have you got even more aggressive than you did in this case?
I have, but not to the point of ever putting my hands on anybody.
How aggressive do you think you were with Rusty?
How so?
If you would say 10 is a fist fight and 1 is a normal conversation like we're having, where would you put?
6 or 7.
After you would talk to him, would he eventually give you more information?
Yeah, Detective Hayes and I discussed that was what he responded to. So much so his lawyer even made some comments to me.
Was his lawyer there at the time that all the times y'all talked to him?
Yes, sir.
What was his lawyer like? Very smart guy?
Oh yeah, his lawyer is very smart, very charismatic, very likable, and a very experienced lawyer that had worked on federal prosecutions and things like that.
Now don't tell us what he said because
No,
there's rules for that. But did y'all at times would you meet with the lawyer and Rusty would be somewhere else?
And on this date, there was a period, yes.
And did y'all sit around at times and just, even with Rusty being there, did it undulate? Did kind of pressure would go up with everybody and then it'd come back down to normal and y'all would kind of talk and nobody screaming or yelling or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
And would Rusty do that? Would he come back and actually have a conversation with you?
Yes, sir.
Now, did y'all talk about, I think you like coffee, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to actually stop the interview sometimes and go get some coffee in Tullahoma?
Yeah, that was a little bit of effect too. I wanted to leave Detective Hayes and them together, and I do like coffee. So,
Where'd you go get coffee? You remember?
Celtic Coffee, I believe, was the name of it.
How big is Tullahoma? Can you compare it
It's
to
a
a city that we all know?
Oh, it's a small town. It's very similar to the town I grew up, probably 10, 15,000 people, something like that.
Did you and Rusty, everybody talk about that Tullahoma? You didn't have a good place to get a meat and three sides?
Yes, sir.
I mean, did y'all talk about food?
Yes, sir.
Was that in the context of all these interviews and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Now tell the jury, maybe, I don't think I'm wrong, but tell the jury, during these intense conversations with Rusty, where he gives information, I'm being a little facetious.
Yes, sir.
At some point when he does talk to you and after he tells you about what he says in the burn pile, y'all end up sitting around just eating candy?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what kind of candy it was?
I didn't remember until I refreshed my memory, but I know I didn't want to eat the watermelon candy. I remember that being on the.
Was anybody eating watermelon?
I can't remember, but somebody was.
Was everybody? You, Rusty, Detective Hayes?
Yeah, we were all together, even as lawyers,
Where were y'all sitting at?
at a conference table in the lawyer's office.
And would he get you drinks and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Do you find it to be a pleasant environment for the most part?
Yes, sir.
Now, I think on August 2nd, did y'all come up with some, I call them fake arrest warrants, but maybe it wasn't, did y'all use some arrest warrants with Rusty?
Yes, we did.
Tell the jury about that.
We, on that date, after some conversation and debate, we went and presented him with some information because we had developed some instincts and some conversations had been occurred that we thought Rusty was potentially trying to play both sides.
In fact, did you confront him also at that same time about the recorder y'all had given him to use?
Yes, sir, we did.
And what did y'all think he was doing with the recorder when it came to telling the defendant something?
Well, it was revealed that he had told her about the recorder after we had given him instructions.
Would you give Rusty instructions and he would agree to things and then you found out that's not really what he was doing?
Yes, sir.
So did y'all confront him about the recording?
Yes, sir.
Initially, did he tell the truth about the recording that he didn't tell her?
No, sir. I think that's a good example, too, of me. I stepped out of the room for Detective Hayes to have a conversation with him.
Eventually, did he admit that he did tell her and was lying to y'all about not revealing it?
Yes, sir.
And did y'all talk about getting him to record calls on a Calio system?
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury what, I mispronounce it or I say it wrong all the time, but it's Calio, but Calio. What is that system?
I don't want to try to pronounce it because I mispronounced it, but yeah, it's an app that you can put on the phone that records conversations. And it also sends that to us real time so we can listen to it.
And when you got Rusty to agree to do this, what was your confidence level that he wasn't going to tell her, that he would or would not tell her that he's recording the calls?
I believe we were confident that he wouldn't, but that changed as the interviews and conversations occurred.
After the defendant was arrested, she was arrested on June, I think, 18th, 2019. That next week, June 25th, did y'all go back up and meet with Rusty and his attorney?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, when you walked in, and at that point on the 25th, did you know where he stood with Melody, how he felt about her?
He was still in a relationship with her.
Did you ask him whether or not they had talked around in person the recordings?
Yes, sir.
Did he admit he did?
Yes, he admitted. He described that they had got a cell phone just for them, that each had got a cell phone number for each of them to talk around that nobody knew about.
Now, at the time that he was recording these phones with the defendant, obviously you had the defendant's phone number, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You knew Rusty had a phone, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But did you know they ever had other burner phones?
No, sir.
Did you find out on the 25th whether or not Rusty got other phones?
Yes.
And did he tell you why he got those phones?
To purposely talk around so we wouldn't be able to monitor conversations.
On the 25th, did he, after y'all, is the procedure, I guess the development of that day correct? Y'all confirm about the phone numbers, meeting in person, going outside on new cell phones. Then did he say he had something he wanted to clarify?
Yes, sir, he did.
And is that when he recanted the July 24th statement?
Yes, sir.
How did that make you feel?
I kind of thought Rusty was selling me something that I wasn't willing to buy.
And,
I didn't believe it.
and at that point, did y'all part ways?
Yes, sir.
And it pretty much was it over with Rusty at that point?
Yes, sir.
Now, as the case has developed, and when it came to recordings that we have, was that basically what we talked about? Was that your role in this investigation?
Yes, sir.
And when you were working to do these things, like going up to Tennessee and dealing with Rusty, were you said people were advising, was that your superiors in your office?
It's a team effort. We're always coming back to the office, kind of